Now, the Venezuelan Nobel Peace Prize winner María Corina Machado is to meet President Trump in Washington later on today. It's a highly important meeting for the opposition leader. She was hoping to have garnered Trump's backing in the wake of the US ousting of Nicolás Maduro, but with Machado apparently sidelined in favor of Maduro's number two, Delcy Rodriguez, she today will be hoping to persuade Donald Trump she can be a credible leader and partner to the United States. Well, Kethevane Gorjestani is our foreign affairs editor with me to talk about that meeting coming up later on today. So just give us a deeper sense then of what you think Machado is hoping to get out of this meeting.
Well, what she wants is to get Donald Trump to see her again as a legitimate and a strong figure for the future of Venezuela. She wants to sort of turn the tide from those pretty tough words that Donald Trump had about her right after the U.S. operation that captured and kidnapped Nicolás Maduro, when he said it would be very tough for her to be the leader of Venezuela. She doesn't have the support or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, he said, but she doesn't have the respect. That's for the sort of the personal aspect of this meeting. But she also is likely hoping to bring back the question of a political transition back to the forefront, because that has been sort of sidelined by Donald Trump, who doesn't really seem interested in the sort of political aspect of what is happening in Venezuela. María Corina Machado, of course, was banned of running in the 2024 election, but Edmundo González Urrutia, he ran in her place. And a lot of people, including the United States, believe that he's the one who won the election. So they want to talk about that political transition. It's, of course, going to be a very uphill battle for Machado, but she does have some people in her corner, starting with the Secretary of State and National Security Advisor to Donald Trump, Marco Rubio. He's a longtime opponent of the Chavez and the Maduro regime. He's been pushing for regime change in Venezuela for years now, and he was the one of the people who nominated her for the Nobel Peace Prize. And talking about that prize, of course, this is something that we'll be looking at. For now, that meeting is closed press, but it is going to be interesting to see whether or not Machado actually gives the physical prize to Donald Trump, because there have been reports that part of the reason he sort of sidelined her was that he was angry that she didn't give him the Nobel Peace Prize. Of course, the Nobel Committee made it very clear that those prizes do not get transferred just because you do it. So it would be a symbolic move, but we'll see whether or not she actually does do that to try to garner some more sympathy from Donald Trump.
All right, so that is Machado herself. Let's talk about Delcy Rodriguez. She's the woman who is ostensibly in power now in Venezuela. Unlike Machado, she does seem to have a working relationship of sorts at the moment with Donald Trump.
Absolutely, and they even held their first official call yesterday. Donald Trump said it was a very good call. He called Delcy Rodriguez a, quote, terrific person. And of course, it was a surprise to many that Donald Trump immediately sort of turned to Delcy Rodriguez after the ousting of Maduro, because she is or was the vice president at the time, a Maduro loyalist. And the United States basically seemed to be perfectly fine with leaving the rest of the Maduro regime in place. It sort of shows that for the United States, or at least for Donald Trump himself, this was never really about the drugs. This was never really about regime change, but about getting someone who would be working with the United States. And Donald Trump on Truth Social, after that call with Delcy Rodriguez, said that they had discussed a lot of things: oil, minerals, trade, national security. Of course, no mention of human rights violations, no mention of a political transition. And the U.S. thinking at the time was that, of course, if you want to take control of Venezuela's oil, if you want that, you need to have stability. And who better than the current regime apparatus, the security apparatus, to keep that stability that is necessary. So far, Delcy Rodriguez is playing ball with the United States. The U.S. just announced that it made its first sale of Venezuelan oil worth about $500 million, and that more would be coming. The regime in Venezuela released dozens of prisoners over the last week or so, and they've said that they would be releasing more prisoners. That's, in a way, a sort of a nod to the United States, who've been pushing for that. And Rodriguez herself has also been softening her tone when it comes to the United States. She talked about a new era for Venezuela, an era of respecting diversity of views, things like that. No criticism of the United States. But of course, Delcy Rodriguez is also walking a very fine line. She has to deal with the pressure from the United States that is telling her, you better do what we want. But she's also dealing with sort of towing the line with the Maduro loyalist and the regime that is still in place right now. And Donald Trump has made it very clear that this is all possibly very temporary when he threatened her with suffering consequences that were much worse than what Maduro had to go through if she did not do what the United States wanted her to do.
All right, huge stakes, as we say there, both for Machado and for Delcy Rodriguez. Thank you very much indeed, Kethevane Gorjestani.